Let's bring in Congressman Don Bacon on this, a Republican out of Nebraska, member of House Armed Services. Welcome, Congressman. You watched the president and the prime minister today, and you come away from that thinking what about prospects for peace in the Middle East and the end of the war in Gaza?
You know, at times I've been critical of the president, particularly on Ukraine and a few other areas, but I appreciate his leadership here with Israel, Gaza, and I would say Iran as well. They're all interconnected. I think it's going to be a great effort. In the end, we know that the 48 hostages need to be released. Some of them are dead, of course, but there's about 20 live hostages. Hamas cannot control Gaza when this is done. They cannot be in charge. It can be no Hamas. But we also need some governing structure for the people in Gaza. So I think the president has laid out a decent plan, one that will give prisoners back to Gaza and also releasing of the hostages that Israel wants back. So I applaud the effort. I don't know that it will still happen. Hamas hates Israel. They would rather die than make peace with Israel. That's the bottom line. So they're hard to negotiate with.
That's the key. That's what I keep hearing. I think we've had on 4 or 5 analysts and/or members of Congress and people who know the region far better than I today talking about this, and everyone, to the man or woman, has said pretty much what you said there. In that, Hamas has still got to accept this, and the odds that they are, or don't seem very high. I mean, what would you say about, and if they don't accept this, maybe there's nothing that they'll accept, Hamas, that would be acceptable to them.
They teach their little kids to murder Israelis, that they hate Jews, and this is something they've been taught at a young age. They don't want peace with Israel. That's the problem with some of the European countries who recognize Palestine as like a separate country or a sovereign country. There is no leaders within the Palestinian territories that recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. And how do you make peace with that? Or how do you have a neighbor that refuses to recognize your right to exist as a nation? And that's the whole challenge, is finding someone on the Palestinian side that wants peace. I think Israel's had good faith efforts going back decades to try to meet in the middle and make peace with their Palestinian counterparts, but they've not found a single leader that's willing to meet them halfway.
That said, this prime minister has been criticized by just about everybody in the international community, and we've even sent some frustration from President Trump on his handling of the war, his execution of the war. Would some of that public sentiment shift, do you think, if Hamas rejects this deal and Netanyahu does what he just said he would do and goes in and tries to finish the job? Would he have more support for that then, after laying this out? Or?
Well, this is a good faith effort to make peace. It's not just an Israeli win here. It's also on the Palestinian side. There's prisoners being released on both sides. And it's peace. And also bringing food to the people in Gaza who need it. And so this is a win-win agreement. And I think the president has put on a table a very fair deal. And yes, if Hamas refuses it, I think most people that are in that middle area trying to make a decision will say, there's no way to make peace with these people. And I'm of the belief Hamas would rather die than make peace with Israel. So this is going to be very tough.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you hope you're wrong, of course, but you know history and you've watched it so many times. One question on the topic you brought up at the beginning, before we let you go, Congressman. You said you've been critical of the president on Ukraine. There's a headline here about Russia warning of even further escalation risk if the U.S. sends Tomahawk missiles into Ukraine. What would you say about that, and broadly speaking, how things are going in that particular war right now?
Well, finally, President Trump has, I think, pointed the right direction. His messaging the last week or two has been very good. We just finished a big weapons deal that the U.S. is committed to sending billions of dollars of weapons to Ukraine. Ukraine needs the ability to hit Russian military targets in Russia. And that's what we need to do. And by the way, Russia's always been threatening, and it intimidated President Biden and his national security advisor. We should not let it intimidate this president and his team. Russia has no problem bombing anything in Ukraine. They got to learn that this war goes both ways, and that Ukraine has the ability to hit deep targets in Russia that are of economic value or military value. And we got to do this. We got to end this war, and you do it by taking the gloves off, giving Ukraine what they need, and you got to cripple Russia's economy. And you do that by secondary sanctions on countries that are trading with Russia. We want to win this. We want Ukraine to be an independent country, free market, part of the West, and we can't let Russia bully us in this way. And so Ukraine's doing a valiant job, but they need our help.
Congressman Don Bacon, thank you, sir. Good to have you on.